What is up, guys? Bringing you an updated and brand new Orcust deck profile here for August 2019. I haven't done much of this deck lately, but recently with opening the tins and getting some more better danger cards out of there, it's kind of reignited my want to play this deck again, because it definitely, I like its play style now more than we had Bardich, because it was sort of go to the same play every time, but there's different routes of plays you can take with this deck, which is why I like it better now after the hits that it's received. I don't think it really needs any more hits to be, per se, but I mean, people might think, Mermaid needs to get banned, but who knows? I mean, honestly, if Mermaid gets banned, I feel like the deck will still be in a decent spot, but because Mermaid is not 100% needed to obviously do an Orcust combo, you just need to get into Galatea, which is not that hard to do. But yeah, we'll go ahead and get started here after we mention a quick shout out to our sponsor over at Imperium Duelist. If you're interested in this playmat that I'm using or picking up any of the sleeves that I'm using, they're brand new non-effect and effect tournament ready sleeves, brand new formula. If you guys want to check it out, any of their products, go down to the description below and use that discount code WinterKills 10% off to save 10% off your entire order. Yeah, check them out. Link to their website down in the description below, imperiumduelist.com, the lovely sponsor of this channel. And I believe they're having a sale on their sleeves still. It's been going on for a while. It's like buy two or more and get one free on either the effect or non-effect sleeves, so feel free to check that out. But yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the profile here. All right, so to start off, we have one Dark Grepher and one copy of Armageddon Knight. Two still really good cards for this deck strategy. Foolish Burial has always been good, and an even better Foolish Burial. Obviously both at 1, so we want to max out on these. I decided to drop the Scrap Recycler just because of the two cards that I'm playing next. I think these are like no-brainers as far as normal summons are concerned. But next I have 2 copies of Nightmare Corruptor Ibli. This is like the most direct and efficient way to get into Mermaid without having to like resolve any effects, because like this can't get Valor, this can't get Ash or whatever. Like you just normal it and link it into Mermaid, and then you give them this, and then it protects your whole field from Nibiru, which is really powerful. One of the main reasons why I wanted to put this in the main deck is because it stops Nibiru. If you open it, it's a surefire way to stop Nibiru, because, well, they can't special it because that's not a link monster, and Ibli says you can only special summon link monsters. So now moving into the Orcust and World Legacy stuff, 1 World 1, 3 copies of Harp Horror, and then 2 copies of Nightmare, and then 2 copies of Symbol Skeleton. I'm going with a slightly bigger Orcust engine than normal, because I like having multiple Symbol Skeletons for later in the game, and it doesn't. I don't have to like rely as much as putting this back into the deck with like Dingirsu, or attaching it with Dingirsu, putting it back with Galatea. I just kind of like the slightly bigger Orcust engine. However, could you still go like 3, 2, and then 1 in one of these? Yes, you could. But I'm adding the second Symbol Skeleton and the Brass Bombard as well, because this can actually be a decent play starter as well, to get things out of your hand. If you have like Foolish or like a Grepher or something, or Armageddon Knight, to get this in the grave, to get something out of your hand, it's an easy play starter as well. And it also allows you to make synchro plays with Nessie and Nightmare, because it's a level 1 tuner, and you can make Borload Savage Dragon, which is very cool. So that is it for the Orcust lineup. And now we'll go into the rest of the monsters, which are Dangers. 2 copies of Danger Nessie. Finally got my hands on this card, thanks to the Megaton. So 2 copies of Nessie, and hopefully this stuff becomes more readily available to the rest of the people. Obviously, if you guys saw my previous builds of this, I was playing cards like Dogman and Chupacabra, mainly because I didn't have these cards. I didn't want to pick them up and pay the prices that they were going for. Just so I finally have them now, though. So 2 Nessie, 2 copies of Jackalope, 1 copy of Mothman, and this is where it gets a little different. I only have 1 Tsuchinoko as of right now, but easily could play 2 of these. Now I would just drop this Bigfoot for the second Tsuchinoko. But this is the Danger lineup. Still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 2, 4, 6. Yeah, 7 Dangers. I would play more. Maybe I would actually, I don't know. But like I would probably cut this for a second Tsuchinoko, and maybe you could drop like a Symbol Skeleton for another Mothman if you wanted more Dangers, but you don't need to play that many Dangers in here anymore. So I mean, obviously you could. It's personal choice. There's tons of other options. The Dangers certainly do help though, but that's my Danger lineup as for now. course, it doesn't matter for the danger lineup so long as you got dangers in there. I feel like they work really well. Then I'm playing one Gizmek Orochi, the Serpatron Sky Slasher. The main reason I'm playing this is it's because it's something you can use to trigger your Bomber Dragon, and it's also something you can summon out to block damage. And it's a card you can summon out as a beater to put more damage on or clear cards with its other effect. Because it's a Dark Machine, so you can send it off of your Orcust Nightmare, which is really cool. And then have something gain 800 attack, and then you can summon this out by banishing 8 off the top, which most of the time doesn't really make a difference. You don't really care about losing those cards anyways. And then the banishing 3 from the extra deck is fine too, because it's not random what you banish in the extra deck. You choose the cards that get banished. So that's it for the monster lineup. Quite a few monsters, but pretty standard nonetheless. Now we'll go into the spells, and to start we have 3 copies of Instant Fusion. This card is really good to sort of help with nightmare plays. If you just have a normal summon that happens to be like a really bad normal summon, you can just Instant Fusion out like a Thousand Eyes or Winda and just link into something with those and go into Mermaid that way. Or on the other hand, going second, it can break boards with Thousand Eyes. Going first, you can use this to make Winda with Dingirsu on the board, and then Dingirsu will protect the Winda from being destroyed in the end phase. So yeah, it's a really solid card and helps to add for a bit of a stun factor when you can pull it off. Then we have 3 Call by the Grave. Gotta stop the Dimension Shifter. You really have to, so you gotta play Call by the Grave in here more so than ever. Then 3 copies of Engage. Yeah, I was lucky enough to pull a playset out of my case that I got, so now I have 2 playsets of Engage. So the 3 Engage with the 1 Drones and the 1 Eagle Booster. This is really key because it can protect your Mermaid. You obviously want that to go through like 100%, so you can save it with this, which is nice. And then we have 1 Return for draw power, 1 Foolish Burial, and 1 Babble, along with the 1 Terraforming to wrap up the spells. Again, spell lineup pretty standard. The only thing that I think that's a little bit different, it might be the Instant Fusion. I don't know how many people are playing Instant Fusion still as of right now, but I still think it works pretty good with Winda and Dingirsu. Now we'll go into the traps, where we have 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. This is like optional. You don't have to play Impermanence. You can play like Lost Wind or something if you wanted to, or Breakthrough Skill, because those have graveyard effects that can work too. You could also just play more Dangers or like Scrap Recyclers and things like that, so those are options as well. And then moving forward, 1 copy of Orcust Crescendo to round off the traps. You could also play like Judgment too, I guess. But yeah, 1 copy of Crescendo to round off the traps. That is it for the main deck, 40 cards I believe, and now we'll jump into the extra deck. So to start for the extra deck, we will start with the links, starting with Borosword Dragon and Topological Bomber Dragon being our 2 link 4s. This could be Avermax, this could be Borreload Dragon. I just like Sword because most of the time, when you make your first turn board, next turn you're going to go for the OTK, and this guy really enables that. So Borosword Dragon, very nice. He's gotten 2 reprints recently, so easier to get. It's not so much like a completely opposite of budget. It's not so expensive to get anymore. I think the ultra rares out of the tins are like 15s, which is really good. Then 1 Longirsu for the only link 3. You could also play a Trisbania as well, I guess, with the more focused topologic strategy that we have now. But 1 Longirsu, 3 copies of Galatea. You got to play 3 of this. It's just, you need it. You go through this card like so many times. Then for the Nightmares, 1 Unicorn, 1 Cerberus, and 1 Phoenix. Standard. And then we're also playing the 1 very shiny now Nightmare Mermaid, and also 1 Kagari for the Engage play. 1 Dingirsu. Again, this could easily be a second Dingirsu. I have just always played 1. Never needed the other one. Most people play 2. You can play 2. Then we have 1 Borreload Savage Dragon for the Synchro play, and then for our fusions, 1 Winda and 1 Thousand Eyes Restrict, and that is it for the extra deck. Pretty much go through like everything in here. Yeah, like you pretty much use like everything in here, save for some of the Nightmare cards, but like most of the time you're going into either Cerberus or Phoenix just to go right into Mermaid, and then Unicorn just kind of comes up whenever you need to clear something via non-destruction. But yeah, so that's it for the main deck and the extra deck. Now we're going to go ahead and do the test hand and combo segment. We'll start with a combo, which basically is just going to show you guys how to just get into Bomber Dragon as a decent setup, just the standard setup. Orcust combo, I know is Orcust combo. Probably everybody has seen it a billion times, but for those that haven't, I'll go ahead and showcase one. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and set that up. Now we'll go ahead and do a test hand. Alright guys, so for the first combo, it's mainly just going to need drones and Jackalope. This is just a simple way to basically get to our bomber play with the Dingirsu setup, as well as possibly a Gizmek setup alongside that with the field spell, all of just 2 cards. Now, this could also be Nessie, and this could also be Tsuchinoko. Just need an extra body on the board at the end of the combo. And this could obviously be the Engage, because we play 4 copies of Hornet Drones, essentially. So this is not that hard to pull off because of, how many numbers of these we're actually playing. Like I said, this could be Nessie. This could also be Tsuchinoko, because Nessie would just get you, ideally, the Tsuchinoko, which would get you Tsuchinoko, which Tsuchinoko would summon itself regardless of the outcome. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at. So we'll start by playing the drones, summoning the token, and then linking that token away for a copy of Kagari. I could grab it there, and then Kagari effect to add back. Then we'll play the drones again to summon out another token. And then we'll go, actually, let me zoom out here before I forget. Yeah, so Kagari will add back the drones, and we'll play the drones for the token. And then we'll link away these 2 for a copy of, we'll go with Phoenix. And then Phoenix will discard, or not Phoenix will discard, but then we'll link the Phoenix into the Mermaid. I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. Then we'll discard the Jackalope, and then we'll summon, and then on a separate chain, the Jackalope will activate. We're going to go ahead and summon the Orcust Nightmare. And then we'll summon, like, Mothman off of the Jackalope there. It doesn't really matter too much. Just get Mothman out of the deck. And then from here, we will link into Galatea, the first Galatea. And then we'll use the Nightmare to target either the Galatea or the Mothman. Doesn't really matter. And then we will send the Harp Horror to the graveyard. You can see where this is going here. Standard combo. And then Harp Horror effect will activate to summon out the... where is it? The Symbol Skeleton. So now another thing you could have also done is summon Nessie here and then summon the level 1 tuner, and you could make Savage Dragon with 2 counters on it just off of those 2 cards if you wanted to. And then you could go get like the counter trap as well. So that's an easy 2 negates if you wanted to do that way. So all you would do is, instead of summoning this, is summon this. And then instead of summoning the symbol, you would summon the skeleton, or the Brass Bombard, and synchro these for Savage Dragon and equip the Phoenix. And then this would grab your Climax to basically get you 2 negates. But we're going to set up the Bomber Dragon instead. But yeah, that's just a different way you can do it. We also put that over there, actually. That'll make more sense later. Then we'll link these 2 off into another Galatea. Don't want to use the Galatea effect yet. And now we'll use Galatea here to... let's put back the Nightmare, because we actually want to keep the Harp Horror there. And if you want to use Gizmek, I guess you could also... you could put back... Actually, it doesn't matter, because we'll just get Nightmare off of Harp Horror anyways. And then we'll grab our Field Spell, of course, off of that, because this is a Field Spell required play. As the Field Spell is... We're dependent on the Field Spell, mainly, is I guess what I should say. And then from here, we will summon out that Galatea off of the Symbol Skeleton, just like that. And then we'll overlay into a copy of Dingirsu. Dingirsu will equip this, or you can equip the Symbol Skeleton. I guess it would make more sense to equip Symbol Skeleton. Actually, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't make too big of a difference. We'll go with Harp Horror. And then we'll link all 4 of these away. Well, all 3 of them. 4 I link 4. Into a copy of the Bomber Dragon. So now, as it stands, we can use this to summon Nightmare, and that'll blow up their entire field once. So just like that, blow it up, and then we can banish to dump either the Symbol Skeleton or the Gizmek Orochi to the graveyard for an additional pop. But I guess at this point, we'll dump the Symbol Skeleton. And then Symbol Skeleton we can use, of course, to banish itself and summon either the Galatea or the Dingirsu for an extra send, plus blowing up their entire field. So that's basically how you set that up. And again, just off those 2 cards, we could have also ended Galatea, Savage Dragon, Climax. So that's 2 negates right there. If you don't want to go for that Savage Dragon play, if you're not even going to play the Savage Dragon, or if you're not going to play, like, I guess, Bomber Dragon, but I don't see why you wouldn't, but just sort of a different way you could play that out. Now we'll go ahead and do a test hand. We'll do a going first test hand and see what we can pull off. Alright, so the deck has been pile shuffled. Hopefully we'll draw into a pretty decent hand. If we draw into Hornet Drones Jackalope, it's going to be... Well, if we draw into Hornet Drones Jackalope, We'll just like play out the other version of the play, I guess. That'll make more sense. Alright, so let's cut the deck. The classic cut. Curse of the Camera, do not strike. Here we go. 2 Call by the Grave, Terraforming, Dark Grepher, and 1 copy of Mothman. Alright, not terrible. I was getting a little worried at the double called by, but you know, the Curse of the Camera, it usually, it likes to take its victims right here and now. But let's start with the Terraforming and go ahead and grab, of course, our Field Spell. Because that means we can get both the Field Spell and our Counter Trap set up this turn, which is really, really good. Now, one other thing we could do here is we could either Mothman. We could Mothman after we play our Field Spell, of course, because we don't want to lose the Field Spell. Or we could, yeah, I think what we can do is we'll like normal the Grepher, and then we'll Mothman, and then we'll just set, like, we don't even need to set the call bys. We just, since we have 2 call bys, it's fine. We'll play the Babel up there, and then we'll just normal summon this, and then we'll use Mothman, and then we'll just roll a dice to pick a random card, because why not? I feel like I would use a danger in this situation as well, so let me grab a dice real quick. Of course, dice from Imperium Duelists. Let's go ahead and take a roll. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Rolled a 4. We pick the Call by the Grave, so we get the called by, or we get to keep a call by, but we also get to summon and draw a card, and we just draw Engage, which is really strong, since we have 2 spells in Grave already. But now, our Grepher is not usable, but that is okay. We've got 2 monsters on the board. It doesn't matter. This is our graveyard, so we have 2 spells in the grave, too, which is really good. So here we'll link these 2 away into the Nightmare Phoenix, and then we'll link the Nightmare Phoenix into the Nightmare Mermaid, which says we can just discard any card. It does not have to be a monster. Which we will discard the Called by the Grave. If we need it or not. If we needed it, then we just use it right here anyways. And just discard the Engage, because that just means we still hit the full combo, so it doesn't make too big of a difference. But yeah, we'll summon out the Nightmare, just like that. I guess one other thing we also could have done, because I'm just trying to be greedy and get the other draw off the Engage, is we could have just engaged for Eagle Booster and just pretty much guaranteed our Mermaid going through. That's just another thing we could have done. But yeah, now we'll link these 2 into Galatea, and then from here we'll just play the Engage and go grab Eagle Booster, because we might as well, and we'll get a draw off of that. Let's go ahead and shuffle the deck, get a draw, because we do have three or more spells in the grave upon resolution, and we draw into Instant Fusion. That's a pretty good draw. Now we'll use Nightmare to target the Galatea, and we'll send Harpoor. Harpoor will banish to summon out a copy of the Symbol Skeleton. And then we'll link into, we could either link into another Galatea here, or we could use Galatea's effect right now to put something back and set a card. Since we already have Babel, we can grab the Climax, which will prove to be good. Set up a pretty strong board. But I think I'm going to link first. Just not risk that getting Ghost Ogred or something. And now we'll use this effect. We'll put back the Nightmare, and then we'll set our Counter Trap, the Orcust Climax, or the Crescendo, whatever you want to call it. We'll have that set right there. So we do have our Climax. We'll just leave that face up. We've got our Climax set, or the Crescendo, whatever you want to call it. So we've got that. Now from here, we'll go ahead and use Symbol Skeleton to revive the Galatea, and then from here we'll summon out the Dingirsu right here, and then we will actually, what we'll do first is, before we put the Dingirsu on top, we'll actually summon the Galatea over here in this zone, and then we'll Instant Fusion out for Winda like that, and now we'll summon Dingirsu over top of it and use Dingirsu's effect to attach the, let's see. And technically, we don't really need to use the Symbol Skeleton, or the Galatea, because we could just leave that engraved with the Symbol Skeleton. So we don't really need it on board anyways, so there's really no need to do that. Actually, no, we do need it, because we need something to use our Crescendo with, so we'll leave that on board, and then we'll attach the Symbol Skeleton. just like that. And then one other thing we could do is link away, but we want to leave the Dingear suit on the board to be able to protect. So we have Eagle Booster and Crescendo set. So we have a negate here. During the end phase, we can actually detach. And I guess with no Orcust monsters engraved, we should probably attach the Harp Horror to this. So we have something live on our turn to use off of Babel. So we have a live Harp Horror engrave. And this does detach in the end phase because the Instant Fusion will try to destroy the Winda. And we do have this effect that we can use, and we have a negate here. They can only special summon once. We can protect our entire field, and we have the Eagle Booster if they happen to clear these as well. Because, of course, we can only use that if we have no monsters in our main monster zone. But, yeah. So that's it for that test hand. Not a bad test hand. Drawing that Instant Fusion made that field really just a lot better. So, yeah. That's one of the reasons why I like playing Instant Fusion here, because it adds that little bit of extra stun factor to the deck, and I personally like it, although not necessary in the deck if you ask me. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this deck profile plus combo and test hand. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. As always, guys, I'm going to kill signing out. We'll see you guys in the next one.